Point and Click Productions, going live, coming right at you. No makeup, blemishes, shaky, weird camera problems. It's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you and for me. What I wanted to talk about today live, and I usually don't do things live. I learned to do this recently on Twitch under a completely different name that hopefully will remain utterly anonymous. I kind of like it because it really steps up the pressure on me. I got really comfortable over the past 8 or so years doing these videos, most of which, as you'll see, as you have seen, are from 8 years ago. Going live is a little different, and it brings that sharp feeling back, and I like that because I'm always looking to grow. The theme for my little sermon today is I am just as crazy as you, but I recycle. Now, that sounds a little non sequitur crazy in itself. I actually mean something by that. What I mean by that is I probably am more or less as neurotic as just about anyone watching this. And that means that certain things really set me off. We all have a sort of lens we see through. If you can kind of picture a lens here, if I had special effects, I use my hands for special effects. Ooh. And then in the lens, there are perturbations, little warped spots, or big warped spots. And these have to do with our biography. The things that really hurt in the past, particularly evolutionary biology, evolutionary neuropsychobiology has seen to it that we have some things called super memories. Memories that are so intense that whether we are consciously aware of them or not, and whether we are consciously aware of their influence or not, they influence our behavior more than our ordinary memories, most of which kind of fall by the wayside. I can probably devote a whole other video to memories having fallen by the wayside and how much I wish I could sometimes just scroll through all my days and find choice moments. But that is not my topic. My topic is I'm just as crazy as you, but I recycle. So I've been working on this skill set of recycling for about 30 years now, maybe longer. Maybe it goes all the way back to when I was 12 and I first read things about Eastern philosophy. I don't know, but a long time. I'm 51 now. So what do I mean by recycle? Well, let me give you an example. This morning, I noticed a charge, not even to my credit card, straight to my bank account, straight to my business account, $9.99. Ouch! What was that about? It's by a company I don't even like. I won't say who they are, but if I wrote a limerick about them, I could probably rhyme their name with the great Jewish philosopher Martin Buber. Get it? Anyhow, this charge for $9.99 turns out to have been going on every month for the past 5 or 6 months, and I hadn't noticed because I'm not very organized. And that's why I hire other people to do organizational things for me when I can afford it and when it makes any sense at all. I'm in business 15 years. I could devote a whole series of videos to my struggles as a reluctant business person, but again, I digress. My topic is I'm just as crazy as you are, but I recycle. I got to keep reminding myself of these things. So one of my warped spots, one of the most bent up, distorted kind of funhouse mirror parts of my lens is about bullying. Yeah, I was bullied. Oh gosh, what a surprise. A guy with a PhD was bullied. So if you ever wonder why, let's see, how shall I say this? If you ever wonder why it seems likely upon some contemplation that people with advanced degrees are a little full of themselves, maybe even a little narcissistic, maybe hypersensitive, maybe the slightest little bit of criticism sends us ballistic in some cases. I don't know why either. But I do know that, let's say, kids who probably would make good professors, psychologists, doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs. Strike the Indian chiefs for political correctness. That's just an expression from New York City. I didn't mean anything by it. I have great respect for the American Indians, which is the preferred name I am given to understand. And I digress again. Those of us who started out with a pretty good processor up here, not necessarily any wisdom, in fact, probably less than the average share of wisdom, but more than the average share of computing power. Well, we tended to run off at the mouth because that was what we had. We didn't have the good boxing ability. We didn't have the courage. We didn't have the wisdom or the social skills necessarily to contend with the strivings of our many siblings, in quotes, our colleagues, our classmates, and we would tend to fall into the pattern that we call bullying, where some kids get singled out for special treatment by their peers. And I was singled out for a lot of special treatment by my peers over the years. And I'm not saying I'm proud, and I'm not saying that this excuses my bad behavior, but that I have a lot of bad behavior, and I've worked on it, and I've worked on it, and I've worked on it. Well, a lot of that bad behavior is triggered when I feel like somebody's bullying me. And of course, the bigger that warp is in your personality, the bigger that bendy, warpy, distorted part is in your lens, the more warped it is, and the bigger it is, to extend this metaphor almost to the snapping point, the more situations are going to look like that to you. So part of my task is to notice, oh yeah, this is kind of falling into that 25% of my perception that I experience in some way as I'm being bullied. Somebody's stealing my lunch money. Somebody's pushing me around the playground. Somebody's knocking me down. Somebody's humiliating me. So when I got this charge this morning, guess what happened? Guess what happened? Anyone here? Probably not. I'm not that popular and I don't post very much. And I'm also not paying attention to my my levels. Usually I'm very sound savvy, but I haven't done this this YouTube live broadcast before, and I really hope this gets recorded. Yeah, I'm sure it gets recorded. So when I got these charges from the company about whom I could write a limerick that would rhyme with the name of the great Jewish philosopher Martin Buber, that company that I won't mention, that has been charging me for months, when that happened, I froze, as we do. And you need a good director of photography to kind of capture what happened inside me. Because what happened inside me, there's no real good words for what happens inside us. We have to resort to metaphors, and I find myself self-conscious about how not ironed my shirt is. Well, what can I do? I'm a PhD. I'm an eccentric. I get to look awful. Let's see. I could feel that there was heat spreading in my neck, that heat of anger, humiliation, pain. Yeah, I know. It's just a $10 charge. Heck, who knows? Maybe I accidentally initiated it myself. But I don't care for this company for various reasons. And so that made it extra potent an experience. And then the fact that in 5 minutes, I was to see a client right here in my office and try to help that person with their lens and the warped parts of their lens. And how did the lens get warped to the extent that we need that? And what are we going to do about it is the bigger issue. Well, guess what I did? And this is kind of like scratching your ear like this, right? I'm getting to the point. I'm getting there. Oh my goodness, I have 2 people watching me. That's extraordinary. Well, if you would like to comment, please do. After all, this is live. Yeah, go for it. But if not, that's also cool.
Oh, and I got a like too. Thank you very much. This is very pleasant. This is very enjoyable. So I recycled. I listened to my client for a half an hour. My client had a lot to say, and rightly so. And I listened, and I listened. Hey, Andre, thank you. I was relatively pleased with the title too. I thought it was not too bad, and apt. So I recycled. Once the client had spoken for a half an hour, which is unusual for me to support someone just really listening for half an hour, but this is not your typical customer. This is a very, 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 very talented person. Maybe I needed only two berries there, or one. And then once we processed a little bit more, somewhere around minute 35 of the 50-minute hour, I said, and I'll tell you something, just so you don't imagine that, okay, this is a double negative, so let me see if I can make it just a positive. To make sure, now I got to do a double negative, to make sure that you don't have the misimpression that I am sane, to make sure you understand that I am just as crazy as you, I am just as neurotic as you in all likelihood, I told my client the story of the company whose name rhymes with the great Jewish philosopher Martin Buber. And that company might do things like carry people around in cars or deliver food, and how they've been charging me, and how I'm going to have to dispute it now. And the details and the nuts and bolts really don't matter, right? It's about what happened inside me. To recap, I saw the $9.99 charge on not my credit card, my bank account, via another company that I work with and will continue to work with, but have not been entirely possible. I don't know what that means. I don't think it's a Freudian slip. I think that's just an aging slip. Not been entirely positive. A company whose name might rhyme with something like Gay Gal. I shouldn't say things like that. I am a very firm supporter of the LGBTQIA2S plus community, I will have you know. So any case, with these two companies, in my view, my distorted view, robbing me of my lunch money, beating me up a little bit, and humiliating me, which of course has nothing to do with anything. They're just following algorithms that were dreamt up in boardrooms, and it has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with what happened in the 1970s on a schoolyard and around a school in East Harlem. It has nothing to do with that. I know that. It has nothing to do with that. But to me, this part of me knows this has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with what happened to me in East Harlem in the 1970s. With the little chubby kid from uptown who thought he was smarter than everyone else, but was pretty much just the same as anyone else, but who was definitely weaker physically and more fearful than many. So what happened in my body, again, that red flush I could feel, I couldn't see it because I wasn't looking in a mirror, and that sense of powerlessness and that kind of sick, ashamed feeling. Did I do this? Did I mess something up? I must have messed something up. They couldn't be charging me for no reason. They couldn't be playing gotcha with me because I clicked on a little thing that said, I'd like some food right now. And they couldn't have possibly signed me up for something that I didn't agree to. No. I'm sure, in air quotes, that I must have made a mistake. That's the sense that I got. Those are the feelings that I got. And so I recycled it. I recycled it by using it briefly, and I hope appropriately, as an example with my client that, yeah, I'm crazy too, but let's look at what we're going to do about this stuff. I've been working on these skills, let's say, for at least 30 years. At least 30 years I've been working on this stuff. This is a very, very shallow, gradual learning curve, and I hope my left to right is working for you guys. Maybe this is my left to my right. This might be your left to your right. I don't know how it works, but the learning curve is very slow, very slow for skills like this. So my skillfulness has improved, but underneath that, the crazy hasn't improved at all. I'm just as crazy as I've ever been. Arguably, well, no, I'm just as crazy as I've ever been. By the time I was 10, I was as crazy as I was going to be, and I've stayed that crazy all the way up until age 51. I do not expect that to change. What changes that makes me appear more normal? Maybe. And at least lets me function on a higher level and lets me have more fun in my life and manifest more things that I'd like to manifest in my life. I try to work on adding things that I like rather than trying to remove things that I don't like, unless it's important that I do so. So one of the things that I find that no matter how much I dislike it, I can't really remove the sense of being a victim. I can't. I've tried, believe me. Believe me, I've tried. I've been trying since I was 12 and I started waking up, at 12. It's like, oh, wow, there's stuff and things. There's psychology. There's the occult. There's spirituality. There's, I don't know, all sorts of stuff. Those are just to name a few things that captured my attention at around age 12. And I'm 51, so that's, what is that, almost 40 years ago. I recycle. Primarily, my number one skill, or at least the one that I have lately been really excited about, has been my ability to recycle. So the $10 charges, maybe adding up to $50, they gave me fuel to create, well, a small intervention for my client, which helps my relationship to my client, I hope. Hard to measure these things. And a video that hopefully does not completely suck. I don't know. You guys be the judge of that. But I had something to say. And what I've learned is once I'm done saying stuff, especially if I've taken 17 minutes to say it, maybe I've been a little more rambling than usual because I'm a little more nervous than usual because I'm not usually live. But this is really fun. Kind of turns up the volume on everything, makes me feel a little more on edge like I used to do 8 years ago when I started this channel. And I'm very, very conscious of this blemish up here. And I'm blemished just like you. I'm crazy just like you. But I've been working pretty hard on some skills for 30 years, minimum 30 years since I was 21. And what these skills amount to is taking all the stuff that I don't like about my life, well, maybe not all of it, but taking all the important aspects of my life that I really don't like and trying to recycle them. One might call it a form of alchemy. Some people have described it as alchemy. Certainly the late, great philosopher, psychologist, movie maker, occult magician, author, Michael Friedrichs, beloved to me and of blessed memory, as we say among Jews, of blessed memory, and may he rest in peace, as Christians say. I don't know what Muslims say. I would learn it if someone taught it to me, and I'd be happy to learn it. I like learning things like that. Now I'm at 18 minutes. Better wrap this up. We are all alchemists in a metaphorical sense, in that we have the opportunity to take lead, which was regarded as not the most useful metal. It's kind of heavy and clunky. It's too pliable to be very useful for, say, swords or something. It turns out to be a neurotoxin. And what the alchemists thought they were going to do was to turn lead into gold. Well, we may not be able to do that without expending way too much energy, knocking out a couple of electrons or protons or whatever. I don't know exactly what that would involve. They're close together on the periodic table, I'm led to believe. But metaphorically, we all spin lead into gold. And maybe alchemy, as a metaphor, at least, is a good topic for another video. All right, I'm done. Bye-bye. End stream, please. End stream, please. No, not that one. This one.